Hey guys, Akimurasaki here. Today we're going to be talking about Highguard, also known as Concord 3.0. Yes, the game released, well, literally yesterday. And it's not doing very well, I'm afraid to say. However, you can already find game journalists from both Polygon and PCGamer glazing the hell out of the game. Let's see this one here by Austin Manchester. Highguard isn't dead on arrival. In fact, after 4 hours, look at how exhilarating. I'm convinced it's one of the best new shooters in years. Highguard could be the start of an exhilarating new FPS subgenre. Amazing, isn't it? And then we have another one here from PCGamer. Highguard is fine when you don't have an internet in your ear telling you it's nasty. It's well made, but I don't see Highguard becoming a habit. Now this one by Morgan Park is a little more balanced. I read the whole thing. It's trying to be a little more fair, but still, it is glazing, and so is our hero of the day, Geoff Keighley, who hosted the Game Awards last year, and so happened to drop a trailer of Highguard. You guys might remember last year. It was towards the end of the ceremony. There was like a free slot. He just went on and played it, and people are like, okay, well that's a thing, that's a game, yeah? It is kind of mid though. It was really mid. Yeah, I saw the trailer. It kind of reminded me of the old school kind of like 3D hero shooter / MOBA Strife. The game wasn't very good, and unfortunately, after release, after like a month of silence, and finally dropping yesterday, the game is just not very good. And here are the reviews on Steam. Let's see. Oh my god, mostly negative. 16,200 mostly negative reviews. Let's see some of the reviews. Okay, let's see this one here. Or the first one, most helpful, 100%. Okay. I was cautiously optimistic for Highguard. I didn't want to assume anything of the game ahead of launch. With that in mind, I am disappointed with what I played. Above all, the game is boring. There are no NPCs to populate the maps, meaning the only engagement with the maps is looting extremely surface level loops. Then there is some talk about the movement not being tragic, the mounts being pretty good, and that's actually true. That's what I've also seen in some of the gameplay, especially the one from Asmongold. The visuals are pretty bad. Someone mentioned that there's like some kind of weird upscaling going on, that apparently the resolution is actually at 80% of what it needs to be, and then it's forcibly upscaled to 100%, so it's not the real resolution. Yeah, and basically performance issues, empty, boring map. Why is it free versus free? Why is the map so big and nothing to do, it being free versus free? Generic hero shooter with looting. They tried, to be honest, they tried to add a couple of things. I noticed that there's, for instance, the resource collection phase. That is kind of a little bit innovative, but the graphics are absolutely dog shit. Like, let's just have a look at this one. There's a clip here embedded. I mean, just have a look at the models. Have a look especially at the weapon models. This looks really bad. I am very unimpressed, to be honest. And also the character designs, they're okay. Like this female character, probably gonna be rule 34 within seconds. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but otherwise, the whole thing, it looks extremely mid. It looks very much 2024. Yeah. And also placed kind of like mid PlayStation 4, I would rather say. So not amazing. And so someone countered with like, oh, it's being review bombed, because a lot of people reviewed the game with like 5 minutes of gameplay. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but if you look at some of the later reviews, people play longer, okay? So maybe the first initial reviews were kind of like, oh, I didn't play long enough. But some people played like 6 hours. 1 hour, 3.6 hours, 11 hours. That's crazy. 5 out of 10, which is kind of what I would, give the game. And yeah, someone comparing it to Apex Legends, this is probably the closest, I would say. either Apex Legends or I think Valorant, I'm not exactly sure. One of them would be the closest to Highguard in terms of like overall design. So yeah, it's not exactly the craziest, most innovative shooter ever, and it runs like doo-doo, or as Coblin mentioned here. So regarding reviews, obviously these are fair. Like, you cannot claim review bombing, you cannot claim like internet nastiness. People really play the game. The game is simply trash, okay? And so someone else mentioned, okay, there's a fall off when it comes to Steam charts. Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look at the Steam chart. What is happening here? We have a drop within 24 hours of around like 80% of the players, actually. When you look at it, currently sitting at a steady 1,700 here. Sorry, 17,000. So it's theoretically not that bad for a multiplayer game, especially if it's free versus free. We're gonna get to it, how bad it really is towards the end. But in general, like, I would say this is kind of okay if that number, of course, is maintained. Yeah, time will tell. But something I have to say about all of these charts and numbers is that these kind of drop-offs are more or less to be expected. Here we have Strinova, which opened with 38,000 players, within like 2 months dropped off to 10,000 players. And right now it's cruising at around 2K players, which is true. I kind of looked at, I'm just trying to see max stats here. We are talking about like February 2025. Let's see the 48. It's actually 48 hours, actually looking quite good. So it's like around, what is it gonna be? Around like 15% or so. So it's not terrible in the end. It's pretty good. However, on the other hand, when you look at the drop off here from max, this is a steady drop off from 38,000 to, let's say, 10,000 within a 2-month period. So people legit play the game, people enjoy the game, but then they kind of say like, not the best game, you know. I can find something else to play. But here with Highguard, we're talking about like a massive drop off of players. People are really not interested. People think the game is trash. Now, of course, when it comes to the reviews, you're gonna start seeing more and more positive reviews. This is completely normal. These positive reviews are gonna come from players maybe who joined, and also from players who simply stayed in the game and they feel obligated to keep their game alive, which is completely normal. Nothing surprising here. So, but this is basically what we see. This is the reality of the situation. Now, the obvious problem is the press. And people like Geoff Keighley here. We need to talk about something that I would personally call the gaming industrial complex. On one hand, we have the journalists who continuously glaze the games, either because they're really chosen favorably, because they would, quote unquote, honestly say the game is amazing, even though on average all of the players are going to tell you it is really trash. But no, these people are really 100% honestly going to tell you the game is great. So we have this part. Then we have the publishers glazing the game, obviously, in their promos. And then we have the hardware manufacturers and vendors who obviously need to find a reason for their hardware to be sold, right? So what is happening? You have poorly optimized games running on, obviously, the latest engine, and obviously which need the latest hardware, because otherwise how would you run this super poorly optimized trash? And yeah, all of this together, and you have the rampant failings of the gaming industry. Because the reality is that players are not buying this. Players go to Steam, they see mostly negative reviews, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna nope out. I'm not gonna touch this game. It is bollocks. It is a steaming pile of poo-poo. Why would they, right? This is the reality. And if you are a game developer, if you have friends who are game developers, you have to come up to them, you have to be honest with them, just pat them on the back and say, my guy, you have to listen to the player. You have to listen to the voice of your customers, because they are the ones consuming and buying the product and giving you, in the end, it is constructive feedback on the product. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of people losing jobs, the industry losing money, everything just crumbling as it continues to do if nothing ever changes. Now, to humor you guys and leave you like a bit of an upbeat note, I have a clip here from DokiBird, who, by the way, just for warning, this is an unsponsored stream, and this is essentially what happens when a content creator jumps into the game without any sort of sponsorship or previous setup. So let's just play the clip. It's absolutely amazing.
At least it's free to play. At least. Oh my god! Someone already DC'd. Guys, with my reaction, do you really think it's sponsored? I'm giving you the raw experience right now.
Look at her raw dogging it.
Alright. I wish it was more casual friendly. I won't say don't have friends, but you know, might not have a good 3 stack to go in. You know? I swear! How does Yeah.
Sorry, I'm dying inside. Not enough players. Yep, this is where we are right now.
Who said that? I swear to God. Can I get a game? Can I? It's because, like, if someone... I guess they don't have a re-queue system. If someone drops out, they don't have, like, someone filling in instantly. Calm down. Calm down. You might have good teammates. Calm down.
Waiting for players. Oh, right. Okay, 2 out of 6. Let's see. Okay. Not enough players. Oh,
where did Jeff get his confidence? I just wanted...
Yeah, and that is basically how the story ends. Yeah. I hope you guys liked the video. Unfortunately, Highguard is not going anywhere. It's becoming the low guard, the Conqueror 3.0. Let's see where it goes. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Let's see in the further development. But for now, I'm just going to leave you guys with this and see you in the next one. Mata ne!